Brothers are like a fat person's thighs. Oh, they gonna stick together, even when it comes to murder.
You are now listening to The Infamous Ones, a true crime podcast hosted by Kay on Spotify. A podcast aimed to uncover and share the stories behind heinous and insane acts that have been overlooked or overshadowed by mainstream media, getting justice for the voices that can't speak.
What's up, y'all? It's your girl Kay, and I am the host of The Infamous Ones, a true crime podcast. A podcast designed to focus on crimes committed in the Black community that you don't hear about in mainstream media, giving a voice to those victims that have otherwise been silenced.
Ladies, how y'all feel? Fellas, y'all all right? Listen, I am doing great this Sunday. I done went and got my hair done, had me a little bit of church today, got my makeup done, had my little photo shoot. See, I had to get some pictures and get them updated for the website, branding a little bit. But for the last few hours, I've been sitting back, relaxing on my couch, watching some movies that I wanted to watch and going over this episode. One of the movies that I watched, I don't know if y'all have seen it, but it's the latest Mary J. Blige movie, Family Affair. Ooh, child. So, her other two movies came out a couple of years ago. She had Real Love and she had Strength of a Woman. And so today, the finale, or last night rather, on Saturday, the finale, which was Family Affair, came on. When I say that was good, I was watching it while I was working on my new book. And you know what? I think next week I'm going to go ahead and tell y'all the title for my next release. I am so excited about dropping it on my birthday. Ooh, I can't wait. And of course, your girl definitely went to the liquor store and got some stuff to sip on. Today, I am sipping on Stella Rosa Brandy. It's this new flavor that I wanted to try. It's the Tropical Passion. And when I tell you, oh, this tastes so good, I am definitely going to have to keep this one in stock. Now, I've tried them all. Like, I wasn't really feeling the butter toffee one as much when I tried it, but out of the 4 that they have, like, the honey peach, the smooth black, the butter toffee, and the tropical passion. Yeah, tropical passion is definitely at the top of the list. And, I actually went and got me some Jamaican food today. Now, normally I'm just, telling y'all about the drink that I got, but baby, this Jamaican spot got me hooked. Honey, that jerk chicken with the rice and peas and cabbage, it was banging. And they gave me some extra plantain. So your girl will be nice and full. Look, don't be surprised if y'all hear me smacking during this episode. Okay. Oh, and shout out to everyone that has been putting in their submissions for the listener name contest. The submissions have been coming in like crazy. And I got to admit, there is one email that I got that has a few suggestions in it. And I really like it. And I think that might be the winner. I don't know yet because we still got a couple of more days. So, we got to January 31st. Email your submissions to infamous1pod@gmail.com. That's INFAMOUSONEPOD@gmail.com, and make sure that you do it by 11:59 on January 31st. Make sure you include your Facebook name too. The winner is going to be announced in the first episode for February. Oh, and shout out to those that placed orders on my website. If you want to purchase a book or merch, you can go to my website, www.mzkaye.com. That's www.mizk.com. Well, I hope y'all are ready for another great episode. This week's episode is definitely the one where they are keeping it all in the family. When I started reading the details of this case, and then I saw how it was connected to another case, baby, when I tell you I was blown. So I hope y'all got y'all snacks ready. Obviously, I'm not having no snacks tonight because I got a whole ass meal right here in front of me and something to drink on. But yeah, y'all get comfy, get settled in. Let's get into it. Y'all already know what time it is. Let's get it. This week's case involves Miria Silva, the victim, Brian Brutus, Jermaine's brother and assailant, and Jermaine Johnson, the infamous murderer. Jermaine Johnson was born in May of 1982 to Larry and Elaine Johnson in Killeen, Texas. Shout out to Texas. Now, Jermaine doesn't have much on his childhood. For the life of me, I could not find anything on, like what he did growing up or any of that. I do know that he moved around a lot. Like, that's for damn sure. He did have a brother, Brian Brutus, but that was like the only thing that I could find. And the only reason I found that is because his brother is just as fucked up as he is. And I was really hoping to find something on his childhood outside of the fact that, he moved around a lot. Part of that was because he was in the military, but he lived in multiple addresses while he lived in Cedar Rapids, Iowa, which is where he spent majority of his time. He and his brother Brian, they had this uncle that kind of like kept an eye on them and tried to keep them on the right path. Jermaine decided to get into the military, and for majority of the time of this story, he's stationed at Fort Leonard Wood, which is in Missouri. Now, from what I could see in the articles and posts and court documents that were made, Jermaine was kind of an aggressive guy, which makes sense because his little brother Brian wasn't too far behind. Brian Eugene Brutus was born September 23rd, 1985. Now, I'm assuming that Brian was Jermaine's half brother because obviously they have two different last names and they lived in two different areas. While Jermaine was living in Killeen, Texas, and then moved to Iowa, Brian was born in Iowa, but then he moved to California. He attended George Washington High School in Los Angeles, California, and he graduated class of 2004. So, between the two brothers, Brian had more of the criminal record history. Jermaine's was more severe in this episode, but yeah, Brian was not completely innocent either. Let me tell y'all, this is the first time that I've had to do a case where it involves brothers and there are two different people committing crimes. So, what I'm going to try to do is go in order of the dates that the crimes were committed because, like I said, Jermaine's is more severe than Brian's, but Brian did a whole lot more. All right, so here we go. So, Brian is the younger brother between the two. Now, homie had a revolving door when it came to going to jail. From the records that I pulled up, Brian had charges as far back as 2004. One thing that these brothers got in common is that they both have some very aggressive attitudes and they can't keep their hands to themselves. See, I did a little bit of digging and I found out that Brian had gotten married. He was married to this woman named Candace, and together they had a beautiful baby girl, Nevaeh, who was born in August of 2004. Now, I'm not sure how long he and Candace had been married, but for all intents and purposes, you would think that Brian would be happy. He's got a beautiful baby, he's happily married, living in California, living the good life. Like he's literally moved all the way from Iowa to California with his wife and daughter. But it was trouble in paradise from the start. I guess some shit went left one day because Brian decides that he's going to put his hands on Candace. Like, Candace is sitting there one day with the baby, chilling, and she's taking care of her daughter. And Brian, he starts with his shit. And she's confused. She's like, yo, what's wrong with you? But Brian ain't trying to hear that. Like, he feels like she's disrespecting him. He's on some, who the fuck you think you talking to? I'm the fucking man in this house, and he starts beating her and their daughter. Like he beat Nevaeh so bad she wasn't able to sit down. And then in the midst of the fight, he stabs Candace in the face. Now, Candace, she's scared as fuck at this point. So she gets her baby and she takes off running. Like she takes her daughter and she took her ass all the way back to Iowa to live with her daddy. But like, most abusive ass niggas, Brian wasn't trying to let her go. He was on some whole Ike Turner, what's love got to do with it? You can't get away from me, enemy. I'm in here kind of shit. You know what I'm saying? So he follows her to Iowa and then he like drags her and their daughter back to California. Most niggas would slow up on the abuse or just stop and try to prove that they're not abusive. But Brian, he ain't stopping that shit. He's still being abusive to her. Like there was no, oh no, baby, I'm so sorry. It's not gonna happen again. Like it was more like, bitch, keep playing with me, and this is gonna happen again if you piss me the fuck off. And Brian keeps hitting Candace and abusing her. And so she gets the courage and she leaves again. This time, she takes Nevaeh and she goes to her dad and she's crying to him. She's like, Daddy, I need help. This man is crazy. He keeps trying to hurt me and the baby. He's going to kill us if I don't get help. And Candace's daddy is trying to help her. But, Brian, he knows his wife very well. He knows that she's going to go to her family. And so he goes back to her father's house and he literally snatches her out of her daddy's home. And like he drags her to this playground that's nearby and beats her and he stabs her once again. And at this point, the cops get involved and they arrest him and he ends up going to jail. Thank God. So while he's in jail, he also gets a protective order placed on him from Candace. Good, right? Like he's not supposed to have contact with her, nothing. And it makes sense because duh, this nigga done went and damn near killed the woman. So while all of this is going on, Jermaine is seeing this and he's thinking, yeah, I ain't trying to be living this lifestyle. I ain't about to go to jail and end up being somebody's prison bitch. And so he decides to enlist in the army. And their uncle is very proud because, they really didn't have a lot of positive influences. Like their uncle was pretty much one of the few positive influences that they had in their lives. So Jermaine enlists in the army while Brian is busy doing time in jail. So fast forward to about 2008. Jermaine is now in Missouri. He's in the army and he's a healthcare specialist for the military hospital. And he's doing real good. He's got a good job. He's single, done bought him a little whip. He got this nice little Dodge Charger. So he's doing good. Now, there were rumors that he had a little bit of aggression when it came to the ladies. And a few people that had gone out with him were saying that, he was very verbally abusive and sometimes physically abusive too. But I wasn't able to find any hard evidence of that other than some stuff that you'll hear about later on. So, yeah, I don't know. See, okay, here's the thing. With this case, I'm kind of feeling some type of way because y'all know I like to dive deep and get into the details. But with it being a military case, like there were just certain things that I could not get access to no matter how hard I tried. But I digress. I'm going to try to, be positive here. So while Jermaine's in Missouri, one night in March of 2008, he goes out and he hits up this bar called the Rockin' R Saloon. Wow. This was in 2008 and they called it the Rockin' R Saloon. Okay. But anyway, it was there that he meets a waitress named Miria Silva. Miria Nicole Pauline Donovan Silva was born August 25th, 1985 in Granite City, Missouri to Katie Donovan and Dave Middleton. Can we talk about the fact that that name is about as long as she is? Okay. So Miria was pretty much the all-around popular girl. She was the mother of two beautiful girls, Paris and Amelia Silva, with her youngest baby being about 4 months old. She had her in December of 2007, and they were living in Fort Leonard Wood in military housing in Missouri. So she's at work one night and she's working, making hella tips, and she meets Jermaine Johnson. And he sees her and he's like, "Hey, baby girl, how you doing?" And of course, she sees him and she's like, "Ooh, hey, what's going on, darling? How you doing? Can I get you anything?" And he takes that opening and he says, "Well, yeah, you can give me your phone number." He trying to get her bad. He talking about, "Baby, you beautiful. I'm trying to get to know you." And she thinks about it and she says, "Well, okay. I kind of want to get to know your chocolate self too." She loved her some Stay Puft Marshmallow Man with his hand. So she gives him her phone number and they start texting and calling. And pretty much from the time that they meet, they start kicking it and hanging out and everything. And y'all know what that means. Yep, they started fucking. Jermaine had met the perfect girl. They spending time together. He's going over to her crib. She going over to his. They getting it in all the time. If he's not at work, he's up under her or he up in her. Okay. And then one day, a few months into it, she comes to him and she says, Jermaine, baby, there's something I gotta tell you. And Jermaine, he don't think that this girl can do any wrong. Like, shit. It's going good with them. So, he sees that she's concerned and he's like, all right, baby girl, what's up? Now, he knows that she's got two daughters and everything, so he thinks everything's good. But Miria drops a big time bomb on him. And she confesses and she says, Jermaine, sweetie, I know that we've been spending a lot of time together, but I forgot to tell you, I'm kind of married. I've been married since 2003, and my husband is overseas right now in Iraq. Yup, that's right. Miria was married. She had married her husband, Benjamin Silva, a PFC, which is a private first class, in the Army on October 31st, 2003. Yo, can I just say that's some creepy shit to get married on Halloween? But I mean, more power to you. Now, I do want to say and mention that Miria was only 18 when she married Benjamin, and they already got two daughters. So I can almost guarantee you that, like a lot of people that are in the military and they kind of get pregnant young, they got married fairly young for that reason. But yeah, so she was 18 when she married Benjamin because she was only 23 when she met Jermaine. And Jermaine was actually the older person, but like not by much. He was, I think, 26 when he met her. But, you know, she tells him what's going on. And she's like, listen, I'm married. And, she's able to have all this fun because her husband is doing his second tour in Iraq with the 4th Maneuver Enhancement Brigade, which means that, he's nowhere close to them. But it's like, it's so fucking crazy to me because it's a military town. And even though he's not there, like most military towns that I've seen, when you're a spouse and you're married to somebody who's serving in the military, people still know what's going on. They know who you're married to, they know who your spouse is, like all of that. But Miria didn't take anything like this into account, I guess. Like you just out here boldly going around with somebody that's definitely not your husband and who can clearly visibly be seen. Okay. Especially since this nigga is built like Grimace from McDonald's. And not to mention he's black and you're white. So yeah, baby girl, you gonna stand out. So she tells him that she's married, and much to her surprise, Jermaine ain't tripping. He's on some, Darius from Love Jones type shit. He looking at Miria all in love and he's like, come on, Slim. Fuck your man. I ain't worried about him. They call me brother to the night. I'm the blues in your left thigh, trying to become the funk in your right. Baby, when I tell you Darius Love Hall and Love Jones, that was my shit. When he got up on that stage and said this right, chill.
Say, baby, can I be your slave? I've got to admit, girl, you're the shit girl, and I'm digging you like a grave. Now, do they call you daughter to the spinning pulsar, or maybe queen of 10,000 moons? Sister to the distant yet rising star. Is your name Yemiya? Oh, hell no, it's got to be Oshun. Ooh. Is that a smile me put on your face, child? Wide as a field of jasmine and clover. Talk that talk, honey. Walk that walk, money. How on legs that'll spank Jehovah. Shit. Who am I? It's not important. But they call me brother to the night. And right now, I'm the blues in your left thigh. You're trying to become the funk in your right. Who am I? I'll be whoever you say. But right now, I'm the sight-raped hunter, blindly pursuing you as my prey. And I just want to give you injections of sublime erections and get you to dance to my rhythm. Make you dream archetypes of black angels in flight upon wings of distorted, contorted, metaphoric jism. Come on, Slim. Fuck your man. I ain't worried about her. It's you who I want to step to my scene. Cause rather than deal with the fallacy of this dry ass reality, I'd rather dance and romance your sweet ass in a wet dream. Who am I? Well, they all call me brother to the night. And right now, I'm the blues in your left thigh. Trying to become the funk in your right. Is that alright?
Listen, when I tell you that part of the movie, I was just, ooh, I was mesmerized. I mean, I have damn near the whole movie memorized, but that part there, whew, baby, Darius can get it. All of his characters that can get it, okay? Anything Lorenz Tate played in, Drew from The Inkwell, Julian from Girls Trip, and damn sure Councilman Tate from Power. Okay. Let me quit before my husband knock my head between the washer and dryer. Okay. Let me get back to the story. I'm sorry. Squirrel moment. So now that Miria knows that Jermaine is cool with her being married, they can go back to doing what they do. Only according to Jermaine, he really wasn't cool with her having a husband. Like he was distraught because this was somebody that he really wanted to be with. But he had to play it cool and he's like, all right, I don't want to lose her. I mean, she fucking with your boy, so I guess I just gotta deal with it. It ain't like the motherfucker here anyway. So he decides to keep his mouth shut, which is shocking, and be the raisins in her potato salad, aka the nigger on the side. And they do just that. They continue fucking around, but Miria had another secret. She wasn't fucking around on her husband with just Jermaine. Baby. She was married to Benjamin and fucking with Jermaine, but she was giving that hot pocket to a few others, including a man named KD Bellamy. And that hot pocket got her into some hot water. Okay. October 9th, 2008, to be exact, Jermaine and Miria, they're hanging out. And they decide to go out to this party at Area 151 nightclub. They invite their friend Katie Bellamy and this other chick, and they all go partying and they're having fun and everything. Like they piled into Miria's 2002 blue Dodge Durango. They go out, they get pissy drunk and have a good little old time. First of all, the fact that they are at a place called Area 151 nightclub. I don't know how I feel about that because we know the whole conspiracy with, Area 151 anyway. But yeah, I digress. So they at the club, they partying, they turning up. And after that, when they get ready to go home, they're dropping everybody off and they drop off the chick first. Then they drop off Katie Bellamy. And then Miria and Jermaine, they go to the liquor store to go get some, little libations to drink at Jermaine's house. They get back to his house and they drinking and they getting towed back even more. She kicking it and everything, and she's trying to leave, but Jermaine convinces her to stay. He's been drinking and he trying to get up in that pussy. So they start having sex and, they hot and heavy with it. But what happens next takes shit to a whole new level. They're having sex, and then all of a sudden, Miriam's phone starts vibrating. Like Jermaine is up in that thing, okay? And he's confused, like, yo, who the fuck is texting you this time of the night? Now remember, they've been out all night, so it's like 1 or 2 in the morning at this point. And Miri is trying to like distract him and get him back in the mood. But yeah, that mood is spoiled. So she gets up to go get in the shower so that she can leave. And while she's in the bathroom, Jermaine is looking at her phone, which why you gonna leave your phone? Take that shit with you. Why would you leave your phone? It's been okay. I almost gave some shit away. Like don't do that. But anyway, so while she's in the bathroom, Jermaine is looking at her phone and he sees that Katie Bellamy is texting her, talking about, baby, I miss you. Hurry up and get back. Have you left yet? Oh, Jermaine is hot. Okay. He like, yo, I know this ain't the motherfucker we just dropped off texting my girl. He's confused as fuck. He's sitting there like, yo, what the fuck? Nigga, what? He talking about he missed her. Who the fuck is he talking about? He can't be missing my girl. Oh, hell no. So he goes and he confronts Miria about it. He just, boom, storms in the bathroom. Why the fuck is this nigga messaging you? What the fuck y'all got going on? And Miria, of course, she sees what he's looking at and she's like, oh fuck. She's trying to explain, Jermaine, baby, it's not what you think. Um, girl, why are you explaining this to this dude? I'm just sitting here like, Jermaine, you do realize she's married, right? Like, if you don't get your hubba bubba shaped ass and sit down somewhere, how the hell do you have the audacity, the unmitigated gall to be upset because she's cheating on you when she's cheating on her husband with you? Make that make sense. But be that as it may, Miria feels the need like she's got to explain it to Dickie Smalls, I guess. But she tells him, well, baby, it's not what you think. It's nothing like that. But Jermaine is visibly upset. He's pissed off, so pissed off that he loses his shit and turns into the fucking Hulk and starts beating Miriam. Now, y'all, this woman just stepped out the shower, remember? And so the only thing that she's wearing is a towel. But this don't phase Jermaine. He's beating her in an alcohol-infused rage. Like he beating her like she is a man. And remember, she a itty bitty thing while he over there built like several sacks of laundry and got serious weight on her. But that don't matter to him. He's weighing on her, beating on her, just wailing. And when I say he beat her all night, like he literally spent all night beating this woman. Now, remember, like I said, there were rumors that Jermaine was already abusive. And so he's now beat this woman until she's unconscious and naked. She's just laying on the floor, no clothes, no nothing. And I guess he's starting to realize, like, oh, fuck, what the fuck did I do? But instead of calling the police or taking her to the hospital, he gets into her car, the blue Dodge Durango, and he goes to Walmart in St. Roberts. So he goes to the Walmart and he starts buying shit. He gets duct tape and a shovel. He buys some rope and a sleeping bag. And he comes back to the house where Miria is still laying unconscious. He binds her up with the tape and he throws her into the sleeping bag naked. And then he puts her into the car. And she's starting to like wake up and she's looking around like, what the hell is going on? And she realizes that she's in a damn sleeping bag. And so she's like, Jermaine, please, baby, I'm sorry. I fucked up. It won't happen again. Just please, just take me to the hospital. Please, I've got kids. Think about my babies. And he tells her, all right, baby, I'm gonna take you to the hospital. And she's starting to feel relief until he gets on the highway and he gets on Interstate 44 and then he starts driving west. And that's when Maria notices that they're not going in the direction of the hospital. They're going in the opposite direction. He takes her and he pulls over on the side of the highway in a ditch and he just knocks her ass unconscious again when she starts questioning him. Then he drops her body in that ditch while she's naked and in that sleeping bag. And then he realizes, damn, I need some more shit. So he goes back to the Walmart in St. Roberts and he buys more stuff. This time he buys lighter fluid and a flashlight and he goes back to the area where Miria's body is. So he's got everything that he needs now: the duct tape, shovel, the sleeping bag, lighter fluid, flashlight, and a knife that he happened to grab from his kitchen before they left. So he goes back to where Miria is laying in the ditch and she's conscious now. And he gets out of the car and he grabs her and like he shoves her up against the wall of the highway. Like, okay, so y'all know that some highways will have those walls that are like further back behind the guardrails. So it's kind of like one of those kind of walls where it separates, civilization, or like it'll be a bunch of rocks or something. So it's something like that. So he shoves her up against that wall and he's just like double fisting her with both of his hands, taking his rage out on her. And then he just like flips it on her again. And after he whoops her ass, he's like, baby, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I promise I'm going to take you to the ER, baby. I'm sorry. Now, at this point, he has to put her back in the car and is driving. And, he knows that he can't keep driving forever, though. She's going to wake up again and he can't deal with her crying. Plus, he's got to go to work in a few hours and they're already an hour away from the post. So he's got to make a decision. And he does. He pulls over in her truck, makes sure that she's unconscious, and then he takes her out of the car. He drags her to the side of the road and he looks around to make sure that, nobody can see him. And then he slits her throat. And he just holds her as she dies in his arm and he's crying. He's weeping. Boo, what have I done? I'm talking about like Stony and Set It Off at the very beginning when her brother died. And she was like, what have you done? That's the kind of shit he was doing. He was sitting there holding this girl's dead body. What have I done? What have I done? You killed her, nigga. What the fuck you think? But when she's dead, he put her back in the car and he takes her to like this really desolate area, and he takes her body to this abandoned farmhouse that's in Webster County and leaves her there inside of the sleeping bag. And once he's done, he gets back into her 2002 Dodge Durango because remember, he drove her shit while he was going back and forth to the Walmart like a dummy. But he gets into the car and he just rushes off. He goes back toward the St. Roberts area and leaves her car near Valley Way, which was like this undeveloped area that hadn't really, had a lot of traffic. So he leaves it there and then he leaves and drives the hour back towards the base to go to work. Now, obviously, she was at his house when he was beating the hell out of her. And so he tries to like hide her clothes and everything. But there's blood in the house and he's got to figure out how he's going to fix all of that. But he also has to go to work. So he goes to work, and for a couple of days, everything is actually good. Like, no drama whatsoever. Until around October 14th of 2008. I guess the guilt was like starting to get to him because Jermaine actually contacted the authorities and confessed. The Webster County Sheriff's Office gets a phone call, and Jermaine tells them, I killed a girl named her name was Miria Silva, and I hid her body on this property of this old farmhouse. So the Webster County Sheriff's Office and the Missouri Highway Patrol, they get this information of where the farmhouse is and they contact the owner of it. And they're like, hey, sorry to bother you, but we got a search warrant to search your property. And the woman that owns the place is confused. She's like, why do you have a search warrant for my place? And the authorities, they tell her, well, ma'am, somebody confessed to stabbing a woman and hiding her body on your property. Baby, that's all she needed to hear. Say less. Officers, by all means, go ahead, do what you need to do. And so they get ready to start the investigation and they get out there and they discovered the body right where Jermaine said it was. But because Jermaine's in the military police officers have to take over the investigation. It gets turned over to the United States Army Criminal Investigation Command at Fort Leonard Wood once they learn that Jermaine was a soldier stationed at their post. They get there and they remove her body as well as some rope, a shovel, and some like comforter type of material, as well as a grill that was also there. And at first, the public, they're trying to figure out who this dead body is. But it's the military, and they're real tight-lipped about shit. All they're telling the public is that a soldier that was stationed at Fort Leonard Wood is being held as a suspect in the woman's death. Now I gotta admit, this was a nice turn of events for Jermaine to confess because where he hid Miria's body is a good location. Like it's in the middle of fucking nowhere, and it's not like anybody's gonna find it, right away. He really could have gotten away with it, honestly. So for him to confess, the homie must have been really feeling guilty. Now, despite the fact that, Big Back is feeling guilty, the Army don't give a damn about his little noble confession. So they're working on filing charges and everything, and they're waiting on Miria's husband, Benjamin, to get back into the States because he has to be the one to identify the body since he's her next of kin. Now, sadly, Benjamin doesn't know what's going on. He just knows that they're telling him, hey, we've got to get you back to the States. Your wife is deceased. And all he's thinking about is his daughters. Miria and him had just had a baby in December of 2007. Here it is, a few months later, and now she's dead. He's got two small babies that he has to take care of, not to mention that they haven't really told him what's going on. They haven't told the public either because what? They have to notify the family first. So Benjamin comes back and he identifies Miria's body. And that's when they tell him, hey, PFC Silva, we're sorry, but your wife was having an affair with a healthcare specialist here at Fort Leonard Wood Hospital. And he killed her in a jealous rage because she was cheating on him with another man. And poor Benjamin is just like, wait, what? So my wife was cheating on me with another man and then he killed her because she was cheating on him with another man? Oof. Talk about a devastating blow. And then he sees, who she's cheating on him with, and that's even more devastating. You got the audacity to be cheating on me with a dude who got bigger titties than you? Where they do that at? Okay, let me stop. He did not say that, but rightfully, he's upset. So, you off serving the country, fighting the good fight, and you got to come back and find out that your wife was cheating on you with a nigga that's shaped like the capital letter D. Okay. So now that Benjamin has been notified, Jermaine can officially be charged, excuse me. And the investigators take him in for arraignment, which lasted like less than 10 minutes. Now, Jermaine is charged with military charges. All of the charges were under the Uniform Code of Military Justice. Article 107 was intent to deceive or provide false statements. Article 118 was premeditated murder. Article 125 was one specification of sodomy against Miria Silva. Oh my God. Article 128 was one specification of assault with intent to inflict grievous bodily harm against Miria Silva. And Article 134 was one specification of adultery, one specification of kidnapping, and one specification of obstructing justice. And yes, you heard correctly. You can be charged with adultery. The military does not play. Trust me, I know. There was a dude that, I was fucking with years ago that was in the military, and he, although he was separated from his wife, was still very much legally married. And the entire time that we were messing around, it was a secret, because if he would have been caught, he would have been stripped of everything from his rank to his finances. And even though he and his wife were separated to the military, it don't matter. But what I will say is, what I do find ironic is that the spouses of those serving in the military are typically the ones that have the highest adultery rates. But yet it's a crime for those in the military to commit adultery. And I'm like, y'all looking at the wrong ones. It's the ones that's in the military is the faithful ones for the most part, about 95%. But it's the ones that's in the military that's the faithful ones. It's the ones that's sitting at home waiting on their asses to come back that's out here hoeing around. I'm sorry. I don't know why I noticed that, but I did. Miria's funeral is held October 24th, 2008 at Sunset Hill Funeral Home in Glen Carbon, Illinois, and she's laid to rest. Now, I don't know if Benjamin was there for the funeral, because he damn sure wasn't there for the hearing against Jermaine in Kentucky. And Miria's mother felt some type of way about that. She told the media, I'm surprised that he's not here. No matter what has happened, he should be here, at least for his daughters. And, she's also frustrated because she's trying to figure out what's going on. And remember, this is the military, so they can only tell her but so much. They can't tell her everything. And, it makes her lose faith in the military system. Jermaine has the charges put up against him, and he's facing life in prison without parole. Now, originally, the prosecutors wanted to pursue the death penalty, but they decided against it and decided that they would just give him the maximum punishment of life in prison without parole. And Jermaine wanted an attorney who he ended up attaining an attorney who, basically told him, look, don't enter no plea. We need to wait this out and see how they want to proceed with trial and everything. Okay, here's the thing. In the military, trials are a little different. In this case, they go before a judge, but it's from the military. So they had Colonel Charles Hayes, who was going to be the presiding judge. Now, if the courts decided that they would get a jury of his peers to assemble, it wouldn't be the public, but it would be instead the people that are in the military. So Jermaine's initial trial is set up for May 18th of 2009, and it was supposed to last 2 days. And everybody's thinking that, he's going to plead guilty before the trial begins, because remember, he called and confessed. So the investigators, they start gathering evidence. The prosecution, they go to the Walmart in St. Roberts, and they look at the videos, the surveillance cameras, where they see Jermaine has purchased the sleeping bag and all this other stuff. Okay, this is where I start to think,
No, you done fucked up, right? No. You know you done fucked up, right?
I don't understand for the life of me why people go to Walmart to buy supplies to kill somebody. Y'all know they got cameras all up and through that bitch. If you're going to go to Walmart to buy something that you know that you're going to use to kill somebody or to assist in unaliving somebody, why in the entire fuck would you keep the receipts at your house? Why would you keep the receipts, period? Get rid of the fucking evidence. Maybe wear a disguise when you go to Walmart. Put a hat on and pull it down low. Something. Also, pay with cash, not a damn card where there's a record. But clearly, Jermaine did not do any of this. You walked your big back ass into a Walmart where there's lots of cameras, not only throughout the store, but also at the self checkout fucking registers. That has got to be a new level of stupid because it did not take prosecutors long at all to get the surveillance footage from the night that he killed her. And this isn't the regular prosecution that you're dealing with. You're dealing with the prosecution from the military. In this case, it was Captain Scott McDonald and Captain Mark Gardner. And then on top of that, they had 5 criminal investigative divisions agents that were ready to testify against Jermaine. And now that this has been done, Miria's mom, she's starting to feel a little bit better about the system, about the military system. She knows that the army is doing its best to the fullest extent, and she's thankful for that. But, she's still sad and shocked at the revelation that, her daughter was having an affair for 7 months with someone other than her husband. And, she's talking about it and she tells the judge advocate, she's like, we were like best friends. I thought she told me everything. Now, her ex-husband, Bill Spangler, he happened to go with her to the hearing. And when he heard her say that, he looked at her like, girl, are you serious? Listen, regardless of you thinking that you're best friends with your child, they're not actually your best friend. Okay. You got to be the parent at some point. You can't be your child's bestie. You got to be a parent. You may think that they're your best friend, but they're not going to go to you and tell you something like that. I mean, really? Really? Can you imagine that kind of conversation? So hey, mom, I'm cheating on my husband with another man in the military, even though I know he's out fighting for our country and we got 2 kids together. Your mama ain't trying to hear that. Cause mama gonna ask you what the hell is wrong with you. Like this girl is over here fucking a dude that's built like the deflated balloon from Up, and you think your daughter is gonna tell you that? No, that's not something that a daughter is gonna share with her mother. Okay, I'm sorry, y'all. I'm back. So this entire time, Jermaine is being held at the Fort Knox Regional Confinement Facility in Fort Knox, Kentucky. And like I told y'all before, even though the murder happened in Missouri, he's being held in Kentucky, and the family of Miria and Jermaine's family, for that matter, they're having to, travel back and forth to Kentucky for the hearings. And dealing with the military, you got to deal with a lot. Like you're already having to do all of this traveling just to get to the hearings, and then the hearings are lasting like all day. They had to have an Article 32 hearing with the prosecutor from the military and everything. And it's stressful to say the least. And I think that hearing alone was like 7 hours. So all of that driving, sitting there, you got to listen to all these people talking and then driving back. And then on top of that, having to hear all about your child and what your child was doing with not only this man, but another man too, because the man that she was sneaking around on Jermaine with, Katie Bellamy, oh, he had to testify too. And I'm like, damn, he kind of like set everything into motion. Like, I'm not saying it was his fault, but with him basically texting her saying, hey, babe, when are you coming back to me? Like, it was like a ripple effect. Jermaine gets jealous from it. And instead of understanding that he's the side dude, like, nigga, you already the raisins in the potato salad. And obviously, Katie is the capers. But this is, I'm sorry, y'all, but this is how, Jermaine chose to react. But I'm gonna get more into that, during fair or foul, because I haven't even gotten to the sentencing yet. So Jermaine's attorneys are Captain Eric Meyer and David Cohn, and they're basically trying to make it seem like Jermaine is the one that was deprived of justice as well, and not just Miriam. They're telling the judge, hey, he faces the rest of his life in confinement. Let's not rush to push this case forward. Let's not go down the road without justice. You're talking about evidence, and all there is a few blood spots, a few little blood spatters, and maybe a few pools of blood. But Whose blood is it? So let's just wait until we get the results back in before we rush to judgment, because this investigation is going to require more information we need to do over. And they're trying their hardest to keep the hearing delayed. And it actually works, because instead of them having the hearing on May 18th, 2009, it gets pushed back to a month later to June 29th. And when I tell you Jermaine's old Sam's from East Side High looking ass got lucky, once again, the trial gets pushed back from June 29th to August 27th. And he has yet to enter a plea. So the evidence is piling up against Jermaine at this point, because the blood test has come back and it's confirmed that it's Miria's blood that was in his house. And on top of that, they found her military issued ID in his wallet. You goof troop ass. Whoa. The prosecution looks at the video footage from the club Area 151 where they were partying, and they see the blouse that Miria was wearing. It had like these sequins in it. It was very noticeable. Those same sequins were at Jermaine's house when they searched it. And of course, he tried to lie and say that she wasn't there. But they pulled out their secret weapon. They let that nigga talk to his mama. And he broke down. He tells his mama, "Mama, I did it, but I don't know why." And the investigators, they see how tore up he is about it. And Jermaine tells them, "Man, the hardest thing I ever had to do was tell my mother I killed another woman." And finally, on August 28th, 2009, Jermaine Johnson, an Army healthcare specialist for Fort Leonard Wood Hospital, pleads guilty to the murder of Miria Nicole Pauline Donovan Silva. He pleads guilty the day before his trial was supposed to start. And since he did that, Colonel Charles Hayes heard the case as a bench trial because they didn't want to have like a jury there to hear the case, since he went ahead and pleaded guilty. Now, although he did not get on the stand and testify on his own behalf during the trial, Jermaine actually did apologize to Miria's family and friends, including her mother and her husband. One thing I will say is that he did kind of seem extremely remorseful. Like, he kept saying how sorry he was and how much he loved Miria. And I'm like, you loved her, but you murdered her. Okay. And the prosecutors, ended up reducing the charge from premeditated murder, and then they dropped all the other charges from all the other articles since he pled guilty. And at 10 p.m. on August 28th, 2009, Jermaine Johnson was sentenced to 30 years in prison for Miria's death. He went into the custody of the military prison. Now, one thing that I didn't understand that the military did is, after Jermaine was sentenced, and if anybody is listening that's in the military, please explain this shit to me, because I don't understand. You can leave it in the comments. You can, discuss it in the group, email me. I don't care. But this was a little confusing to me. So after he's sentenced, Jermaine is dishonorably discharged from the Army, and he forfeited all of his pay benefits, and he gets dropped 3 ranks to the lowest rank of Private E1. Now, my question is, why the fuck is he getting dropped to the lowest rank if he's dishonorably discharged? If you're in prison for murder, you shouldn't have any fucking rank. You shouldn't be affiliated with the Army anymore. But, okay. Now, something else that I did find is that Jermaine got a little surprise. He thought he was going to do his 30 years in military prison. Nope. Just recently, last year in 2024, Jermaine was transferred to a federal prison in Victorville, California. I know that nigga wanted to cry. When that happened, baby, Jermaine got fat Faison mad. He done filed an appeal in June where he was arguing that he was never told that there was a chance that he could be transferred. I mean, old boy was in there pleading like Sheila was pleading with God climbing up that mountain to save her marriage. And I'm just sitting back like, nigga, they ain't gotta tell you shit. Sit your ass the fuck down somewhere. Eat a burger or 5. Anyway. Sorry. I'm gonna do better. After the murder, once he confessed and like throughout the sentencing, people are starting to express how they feel about the case. And of course, Miria's mother, Katie, she's kind of upset at how the military changed the charges because of that guilty plea. And she tells the media, he has totally changed my life. I only had one child. Now I don't even get to see my grandbabies. He took everything I ever believed in. Now I'm thinking when she said that about I don't get to see my grandbabies, I'm thinking Benjamin took them kids and dipped. Like I don't know if he moved or what, but for her to say that she can't never see them grandbabies, that was a little sus. I'm just saying. Now, there was this post that people were commenting on regarding the whole situation, and I'm going to read you just like some of the comments that people had to say. This one was kind of interesting. It was posted on December 21st, 2008, a few months after Miria was killed, but before the trial. And it looked like they knew Miria because it said, Miria did not want Johnson in her life. Miria told friends not to tell Johnson of her whereabouts. Yet Johnson stands up in court and says they had a lengthy affair. They had consensual sex. They partied together. They drank together. Did anyone see all the things Johnson states they did together? Were they seen in public clubs partying and drinking together? Did Miria, in fact, leave with Johnson when just days before she did not want him knowing where she was? Miria can't tell us her side of the story. Johnson killed her. My thoughts are this. If Johnson saw her in a bar, she did not go there to meet him or go there with him. He saw her and slipped something into her drink and took advantage of her drugged state of mind and told others he was her friend and would see her home. And instead, he had his way with her unconscious body. And when she came to much too quickly, he killed her to cover up what he had done. Remember, Miria can't tell us her side of the story. We, the living, must speak for her. It's odd that the house burned down Miria was found in. There may have been evidence there to show us all more about the case. Who burned the house? Does anyone know? Johnson had the opportunity in court to leave good memories behind for her daughters who had done nothing to Johnson. He chose to take her down with him. He chose to make her look as bad as we know he was. Johnson knows he will get nothing less than life from Miria's murder, so why not leave good memories behind for her children? Johnson was not much of a man before Miria's murder. We know that. He had the one opportunity to act like a better man and leave some good memories for her family and little girls, and he again chose not to. Now, like I said, this was posted a few months after her murder and before the trial. And what they're referencing with the house burning down, a month after he confessed, and the prosecutors and the investigators and the military went and searched that house and found Miria's body, it mysteriously burned to the ground. No one ever found out who did it. So it's a lot of rumors going around saying that Jermaine had something to do with it. He could, I don't know, or somebody else had something to do with it, but we're going to get into that in a minute. So there was another post that I found that was really interesting and caught my attention. It was a post made on December 22nd, 2008, literally a day after that post was made. And I'm pretty sure that it came from their uncle in response to that post. It says, did you know Jermaine Johnson at all? I'm sure you didn't. I did. This is a horrible thing, and unfortunately, he is deserving of whatever punishment he gets. He was a near brother to my son, who is now so confused and lost about all of this that I fear for him. This is not the Jermaine that we know. I feel horrible for Miria's family. I also feel guilty that maybe I did not do enough for Jermaine and his brother while they were younger. Was I too late to help either of them? This reached far beyond Miria's tragic death to a society that allows children to be disregarded and thrown away. Not only Miria's family is suffering over this, how do you accept that someone you love can to do something so terrible? I don't know, but I get the feeling I better figure it out for my own sake and the sake of my son. All the ignorant speculation on the part of strangers only serves to prolong the pain of the loss of Miria and, unfortunately for some of us, the loss of the Jermaine we knew as well. I'd bet money that that was their uncle. So another one that was posted that caught my attention. I know they're a little lengthy, but when you're hearing them, you're gonna be like, okay, what the fuck? This one came a little later on January 4th, 2009. And it was from someone else that knew Jermaine. It reads, learning of Miria's death from the alleged actions of Jermaine Johnson weighs heavily. I've known Jermaine for a long time. Although I had hoped his behaviors would improve, the outcome of escalating anger and abusiveness have resulted in what I had feared might happen, and my heart goes out to Miria's husband, children, parents, and extended family. While we have to treat Jermaine as anyone accused of a crime, that the individual is innocent until proven guilty to prevent wrongful punishment of those who may be innocent. There are situations when someone is known to engage in abusive behavior that we can surmise they are not innocent, particularly if that person admits to the offense. A correct punishment should then be administered. Jermaine is a known offender. This situation should have been preventable because the military knew about the behaviors and had the duty to address these previously by providing help to Jermaine and by protecting the public. I worried that a technicality releasing Jermaine back into the community would increase his boldness because of the lack of a consequence and further endanger others that he has previously threatened or injured or place someone new in harm's way. The military needs to address such behaviors, whether the soldier is in the reserves or in active duty, and to ensure the safety of individuals with whom the offending soldier has contact. The military has simply looked the other way, even with the evidence that Jermaine was convicted of abusive behavior. Unfortunately, I suspect knowing this will not be comforting to Miria's family, but they should know there are those of us who understand what they may be experiencing, and we support them in their grief at the unnecessary loss of Miria in this tragic and terrible situation. Yeah. So it sounds like those rumors about Jermaine were true. Homie got a little bit of aggression and don't know how to keep his motherfucking hands to himself. Now, I know you're thinking, okay, well, what happened to his brother Brian? I thought this episode was about the both of them. Like, how does he play out into this shit? Interesting that you ask, because one of the comments that was made on this initial post was from none other than Brian Brutus, Jermaine's brother. And this is what he had to say on January 12th, 2009. He says, I am Brian E. Brutus. Jermaine is my older brother. I have been through so many things with Jermaine. I want to send my deepest sympathy to the family left one short of whole. No one deserves that. I am in no way saying what he is on trial for is right, but to know Jermaine Johnson is like being in the room with a man who was searching for the rest of his life. We did not have a lot of things the people surrounding us had while we were growing up. Jermaine chose the army to keep from being where he is today. Anyone who knows my brother knows he wanted kids. He cried himself to sleep many nights, scared the one thing he could have loved and would always love him back, he would never get the chance to have. My brother has never led me to believe he would be able to do such a thing to another human. Jermaine is a loving person. I hate the fact that with one life gone, the world would take another. If he did do it, what good would come from two families short of one whole? My brother has been my rock for as long as I can remember, and it breaks my heart to hear people who don't know a thing about him talk that way of him. What if it was your kid, brother, or dad? How would you feel? Again, I send my deepest sympathy to everyone in pain over the loss of a loving soul. This nigga here, two niggas just pacifying themselves and each other. Did you really come up out your mouth and say, oh, well, all he ever wanted was kids? What the fuck does that have to do with this man fucking this chick, knowing that she had a husband and then killing her because he was mad that she was fucking somebody else? You really think that this fool was gonna go get this girl pregnant? Was that his end game? Like you over here talking about all he ever wanted was kids and he was scared he would never have them. And we didn't have what we wanted growing up. A lot of people don't. That doesn't turn them into abusive ass murderers. And of course you're gonna make excuses for him because hell, when he's arrested, your ass just got out of prison for fucking beating and stabbing your wife. Sit the fuck down somewhere. Ugh. Okay, I'm sorry. It makes me mad. Like you got the nerve to be okay. All right, let's get on Brian's ass. Now, while he did not commit murder, obviously at this point, this dude is already guilty of shit and has put his hands on his wife for beating her and stabbing her multiple times. He went to prison in 2006 for it, got out around the time that Jermaine was getting arrested, and he just decided that he was going to keep doing the same shit over and over. But it didn't really all kick off until like 2015 when Brian really started fucking up. Now, after he got out of prison, he gets on parole and he goes to Nevada. Now, I don't know what happened exactly, but on November 6th, 2015, he gets arrested for parole violation. And I think they said it may have had something to do with a violation of the no contact order. And so when he got arrested, it was only a misdemeanor. But once again, it does land him back in jail. So fast forward to about 3 years on April 9th, 2018, Brian decides that he needs to get a little bit of money. So he's still living in Iowa, and he and 19-year-old Antoine Lee, as well as another person, they decide, let's go rob a bank. Let's go set it off. So he goes and he steals a car, real set it off style. He don't want to let one time see what he's actually driving. And once he steals the car, they get in and they go to the Maxwell State Bank in Maxwell, Iowa. And what did they use to rob the bank, you ask? I'll tell you, a BB gun. Like, fuck a real gun. If you get put in a situation and you need to shoot your way out, you're just gonna sting them a little bit with a BB gun. Freaking dummy. But they go to the bank with the BB gun, and the three of them go inside and they tell the four tellers, get down on the ground, get the fuck on the ground. It's like 10 o'clock in the morning, and the bank employees, they get to the ground, they do as they're told, and they go to the registers and they just start racking up the cash. And they take a total of like $16,591 from the bank registers and they dip. So the cops are called and they come out there and they pull the security footage, but it's kind of limited in scope, so they can't really see anything. So Brian and his boys actually got away with it. Now, one would think if you get away with a crime that maybe you should, lay low, keep quiet. Nope, not Brian's greedy ass, because a month later, on May 22nd, 2018, Brian goes back to that same bank, the Maxwell State Bank, and tries to walk through a back door, but it's locked. And of course, an employee sees it and he's still traumatized from the month before, so he calls the cops and they show up. And when they show up, Brian's got like this 5-inch blade on him and he's in yet another stolen car. They see it, they lock his ass up in the squad car and they take him to Story County Jail. He gets locked up, but the state attorney's office felt like it wasn't a strong enough case. And he slips through the cracks yet again because June 1st, 2018, he's released from the Story County Jail. This motherfucker was in jail for a week and a half for stealing a damn car and trying to get into the bank to rob it again. So the attorney tells the cops, y'all gotta let him go. But the cops, they're still watching. They're just waiting on him to fuck up. And did I mention that the FBI was involved? Oh, yes, baby. They want to charge him. They just don't have enough evidence. But it didn't take them long. Literally, 4 days after this fool gets released, June 5th, 2018, Brian violates his parole again. Only this time, the authorities hold him and they decide we're going to keep his ass in jail. Like, damn, nigga, do you just like jail? Like, what is it popping up in there? Do they have like Taco Tuesday or something? What's going on? Like, I'm not understanding why you like going to jail so much. Now, granted, he's not in there for a long time because, of course, this is, a slippery little ninja. He gets out, and that's when it really starts getting real. In March of 2019, Brian steals a car in front of the Casey's General Store in Ames, Iowa. Steals a car, he's driving it around, he gets pulled over by a sheriff deputy near Hugley, Iowa. And he gets charged with theft of a motor vehicle as well as violating his parole because remember, this motherfucker's on parole this entire time. And this time he gets put away for a nice little chunk of time. He gets sentenced in April of 2019 to 2 years in prison for the car theft. So while he's in prison, the prosecution, they're happy. They're like, great, let's get this going. Let's get the county investigators involved. We're going to try to figure out how to link him to that Maxwell bank robbery. But nothing happens for a good minute, which sucks because it doesn't happen until about 3 years after the bank robbery, which is around the time that Brian is set to get out of prison for the car theft. But an anonymous tip came in from an informant that said Brian was behind it. And I guess that was all they needed because they issued an arrest warrant for the newly released Brian. And they find him in Iowa City and he gets arrested. And then he gets transported to the Story County Jail in Nevada. Now, hopefully, I'm not confusing y'all with the whole Nevada thing. When I'm saying Nevada, it's Nevada, Iowa, not the state. So Brian is charged with first degree murder, or excuse me, first degree robbery, first degree theft, second degree theft, and assault while displaying a dangerous weapon. He has a $250,000 bond. And of course, you know his ass can't afford that. And at this point, his brother's in prison, so it's not like he can go to Big Bro and ask for money like it normally does. But what's really crazy is this man robs a bank, stole several cars, and his sentence is less than 10 years. Like, guess what? Brian is scheduled for release on January 27th, 2026, which is literally 1 year from today. How crazy is that? He went in on December 20th, 2022, and is only doing 4 years. Like, wow. Talk about your justice system at work. Talk about your tax dollars at work. Like, that's crazy. But yes, currently, Brian is at the 5th Judicial District Department of Corrections in Des Moines, Iowa, and he'll be released January 27th, 2026. Jermaine, on the other hand, is in Victorville, California, and is scheduled for release in 2039. So, homie got a little bit more time. And now it is time for Fair or Foul, where we look at our justice system and examine the decisions made by judges and juries to determine whether the justice has truly been served or if it was some straight up bullshit. As it pertains to Brian, look, this man is a habitual offender. He beats his wife, stabs her in the face, and beat his own child multiple times. By the grace of God, they are alive. Nevaeh is 20 years old now, and her father has been in and out of her life because he's in and out of prison. There's no telling the kind of trauma that this girl has. Giving him 4 years for a bank robbery is kind of insane to me. Like the fact that he violated his parole so many times and violated his no contact order so many times, and yet none of that was factored in when he was sentenced is mind blowing. This nigga kept stealing cars, and y'all kept giving him these little bitch ass sentences. He's gonna get out next year, and 9 times out of 10, he's probably gonna go right back to doing the same shit. It's obvious that prison, doesn't phase him. Prison is supposed to be an institution of restoration. It's supposed to be an institution where you're able to, right your wrongs and work on being a better member of society. But that's not what's happening in this case. Brian knows that he's getting over, and he could give two fiddly fucks about it. His mindset is just, all right, I'm gonna eat this time and go back to doing whatever I want to do. Now, of course, it doesn't appear that he's the world's smartest criminal because obviously, he keeps getting caught. But I feel like the justice system failed in this aspect because he's going to keep going and going until he does something serious where he really, hurts somebody or kills somebody. And then what? Hell, he just sat there on the internet and said and made excuses for why his brother committed murder and tried to say, oh, it was because of our upbringing that we're like this. That's not an excuse. There's too many people out here that had rough upbringings and they turned their lives out great. Stop using your background as a crutch. Like, come on. You got to sit back and evaluate and think, okay, well, maybe, we should have kept him in there a bit longer. But I'm learning that when it comes to certain situations, it's one of those things where you don't learn about it until it's too late. And like, honestly, it feels like that's what's happening in this situation. Hell, look at what happened in Greensboro, North Carolina with Laquan Little. Even though he wasn't murdered, he went missing New Year's Eve 2024, and his mother begged the police to check the retention pond that was in the apartment complex where he lived. And they were just like, "Oh no, the pond isn't big enough for a car to sink. He wouldn't have driven into that. It's not big enough." And it wasn't until his family, went to the cops and told them that they saw tire tracks near the pond, but the police still dismissed it. It wasn't until January 13th, 2 whole weeks later, that his body and car were found in that very same retention pond that they begged them to go look at. And now the cops are just sitting back like, oops, our bad. And everyone is thinking the same thing. You should have acted sooner. We told you. Like, come on, man. The same applies here with Brian. Don't wait until it's too late when you're dealing with a repeat offender, because it's going to get to the point that he actually kills somebody. And then you're going to be like, oh, damn, we should have locked him up. Now, with Jermaine, I'm not in the military. So there are certain things that I don't understand. What I do understand is that they have to, keep certain things hush hush. But Jermaine getting 30 years for the murder, yeah, I feel like it's sufficient. Now, granted, the maximum was life in prison without parole, but it may be just a situation where being in military prison for 30 years, that just might do the trick, especially now that he's out of the comfort of military prison and in federal lockup. I bet you somebody is spreading them booty cheeks. Big ass. Oh, and homie had a donk. I'm sorry. But he got to deal with the real shit now. 30 years is a nice little chunk of time. It wasn't like it was premeditated, yes, but I guess Bubblicious was just caught off guard because, old girl was so-called out there cheating on him. And that fucking blows me. Nigga, you are the whole side dude. How are you upset that she was fucking another man? She is 23 years old, popping out eggs like Henny Penny. This girl is literally in her prime. Her husband is overseas fighting the good fight. This man is serving our country, keeping us safe, and she out here throwing that ass in a circle. Well, more like an octagon with the additional dudes, but I'm just saying. But the point that I'm making is that, it's her hot pocket and it don't belong to you. You didn't put a ring on it. So how you mad she giving it up to another nigga? She ain't even supposed to be giving it up to you. So what was your reason for killing her, huh? Like, what was your reason?
What was the reason? I had a reason.
What was the reason?
I had a reason.
What was the reason?
I just explained the reason.
What was the reason, bitch?
I don't need to explain myself to you. And
what was the reason?
What the fuck were you gonna do when her husband came back? Were you gonna be mad at him? Were you gonna be mad at her for fucking her husband? Were you trying to get her pregnant? Like your brother was talking about, because you want, babies and all of this. Newsflash, she has 2 babies by this man. Your Play-Doh shaped ass was gonna have to fall back at some point when his tour ended. So make that make sense. Like at the end of the day, homie, you were, for lack of better words, a male bust down. And for the life of me, I can't understand why somebody that's built like a disfigured ice cream cone is getting upset. You listen, okay? Let me tell y'all something. This is gonna sound so fucked up, but you pick a struggle. You can't be ugly and then get in your feelings. Okay, I'm sorry. Like you can't be built like that. You can't be built like a beanbag and be upset. Pick a struggle. Okay, I'm sorry. Like you're the side dude. Why is it that niggas can't? You know what? I've come to the realization dudes can't handle being side niggas. The same way that bitches can't handle being a side chick, you start off being a side chick and saying that you can handle it and, you can deal with, not having any other, feelings towards a person. And then you get attached. And I'm going to tell you something else. A lot of these dudes that's got side chicks, they end up falling in love with their side chicks. They just don't want to admit it. And I think that was the case here. Jermaine and Miria were fucking around for 7 whole months. He's all in love. But at some point, her husband, Benjamin, was going to come back home. If anybody is the victim, it's him. Because he's overseas and he's defending our country. He's doing what the fuck he's supposed to be doing. He's being a faithful husband. And y'all asses is out here living foul. So yeah, you do deserve all 30 years. Be lucky that your ass didn't get life in prison without parole. Be lucky that your ass didn't get the death penalty and they didn't give you that $42 cocktail. Because if I were in the military and I find out that my ass is doing a second tour overseas and I get a phone call saying that I got to come back home because my spouse died because they were fucking with somebody that killed them because they were jealous of them fucking another person, and I find all of this out, oh, it's about to be the scene out of Coming to America, baby. Fuck you, and fuck you. Who's next? Like I said, if anybody is the victim, it's Benjamin. And it's really sad as far as her mom and everything, because, her mother was blindsided. She's lost the only child she ever had, and that's devastating. And then on top of your child dying, you find out that this is how your child died. It's heartbreaking. It's not like she was mugged. It's not like, she was robbed. It's not like it was just some, gang initiation. She died because she was messing with a man that couldn't take her messing with multiple men. she died with everybody knowing that she was having an affair on her husband. And I really empathize for the mother and the father. Like, hell, her daddy couldn't even see his daughter until the funeral because he tried to go to the post and they just, turned him away knowing that he was her father. But, they're within their limits too. It's just like a bad situation all around. That is all for this week's episode of The Infamous Ones, a true crime podcast. You can follow the show on the various streams on Instagram and TikTok at Infamous One Podcast. And that's a number one, by the way, not spelled out. You can leave a review there. On X, it's Infamous One Pod, where you can also leave a review. On Facebook, you can join the private discussion group, the Infamous Ones discussion group. Y'all know the deal. If you don't answer the questions, no entry for you. So answer the questions and come kick it with kick it with us in the group, kick it with your people. The show streams on multiple streaming services like Odyssey, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and so on and so on. So leave a review. It only takes a few seconds. The reviews matter. And speaking of, let's get to a couple of them. The first one comes from Charmene99 Murphy, and it was from Spotify. It was on part 2 of the Big 3 episode. That was the last episode of the year. And it says, "This is my first comment or review. It took me a while to figure out how to leave this laughing my ass off. I swear I ain't slow. But girl, I have been listening to you for a long while, and I just want to say I love your true crime episodes. There are some episodes that I have listened to 2 and 3 times. Thank you so much for your storytelling. You get me through so many truck driving shifts." Oh, thank you so much. I love it when y'all are binging on the episodes. Now, okay, let me ask y'all something. When y'all finish y'all's episodes, do y'all go back and start from the beginning? Like, I know I do. I've restarted Sisters Who Kill like twice, and Melanin Mayhem, I just restarted. I'm almost done with Melanin Mysteries too. So once I finish with Melanin Mysteries, I'm going to restart them as well. And shout out to Tiffany and Willie from Melanin Mysteries. Willie is a damn Willie is a fool. But shout out to them. They air their episodes on Monday. And then of course, y'all know Renee and New Our Nation from Melanin Mayhem. They air their episodes, or she airs her episodes on Wednesdays. And of course, Sisters Who Kill, they air their episodes on Fridays. So that's why I was like, all right, let me air my episode on Monday. Or excuse me, Sunday. See, y'all got me saying the wrong day. The next review comes from Apple Podcast, and it's from Jana_B1. And it says, "New here, loved this show. It's new to me, but I am a new fan. Irony, the first episode I listened to was about my hometown, St. Louis. Laugh out loud. You did your thing, girly, but Pagedale hasn't been a suburb since the Olympics was here in 1904. Laughing, but very serious. Damn, not 1904. Love it, about to binge listen." Okay, look. Now, I was only going off the information that was available that they gave me, but thank you so much for your review. I really appreciate it. I may have to start reading like 3 reviews an episode the way that they're rolling in, especially on Spotify. Like y'all are killing it with the reviews on Spotify. I'm still trying to get my Apple Podcast reviews up. So, y'all keep leaving them reviews there and everything. Oh, we are so close to being monetized. So like I have to get I think it has to be like 2,000 listeners in a 30-day period, and I think we're right at like 1,300. I've already did enough episodes to monetize, but I have to get at least 2,000 listeners and 10,000 streams, and I'm short of the streams by like I think 800, and short of the listeners by about the same amount. So hopefully we get there soon. If you want to support the show, or if you're feeling the spirit, meaning that liquor we've been sipping on tonight, and tonight's drink of choice again is that good old Stella Rosa Brandy tropical passion fruit that is just so yummy. click the link at the bottom of the screen from whatever app you're listening to this episode on and hit listener support to subscribe. You can also donate via the Cash App at $infamous1pod. That's $INFAMOUSONEPOD. Donations go toward research and snacks. Research is getting quite expensive because some of these courts will make you purchase the court documents. Ew. As always, shout out to my popcorn gang who make sure that I'm good every week. Once again, I am running my Infamous Ones listener contest until January 31st, and we'll be announcing the winner on the first episode of February. So the first episode in February, you guys are going to get the title to my newest release that's dropping March 11th. You'll get it before anybody else. And you're also going to find out who won the contest. If you have not sent in your email submissions, make sure that you email them to infamous1pod@gmail.com. That's INFAMOUSONEPOD@gmail.com. You will submit your entry along with your name and Facebook name. And I've seen some really great suggestions. I can't wait to see what y'all got. I'm going to list them all on the episode and, of course, announce the winner too. All right, y'all, if you have a case that you want to hear more on that you feel has been ignored in the Black community, if you want to inquire about ad space, or if you want to leave a review, send an email to infamous1pod@gmail.com. Again, INFAMOUSONEPOD@gmail.com. And once again, people, please share. This podcast is growing by the day and it means the world. So please keep on sharing, baby. Until then, y'all know what it is. I'm your girl Kay. Thank you for tuning in, and I will see y'all next week with a new episode. Peace.
Thank you for listening to this episode of The Infamous Ones, a true crime podcast hosted by Kay. Be sure to like and comment on your favorite podcast platform and subscribe so that you never miss an episode.